powerful. It will help you to brainwash your mind very sharply. Okay. This is the video. I even pasted it into our WhatsApp groups. Now let's jump on for today's topic. Okay, I'm sharing the screen all throughout the session. Stay very focused, very attentive. Make some notes about it. Today's session, the recording, I am going to keep it online. Why? Because we are going to touch a lot of topics today. Okay, we are going to touch a lot of topics today. Now, chalo, let's get started for the day. I'm sharing my screen. Here it is. And let's get started. Okay. Now, the point is how IT industry works. Yesterday, we launched some topic of Agile. Okay. We launch a full system process also. Okay. Product owner comes, he does requirement writing, prioritization, then some meeting happens, sprint planning meeting. After that, you select like how much work can be completed in 2 weeks. Then you start working on that on a daily basis. Then there are discussions happening of how the progress happens. As a result of that, finally, after 2 weeks, you guys demo it, how the progress went, what kind of features we have built in 2 weeks, and then we give it to the product owner, and the product owner approves, okay, let's take it to production. And once that happens, you just read retrospective, see what went wrong and how you can improve it. Now the thing is, there are a lot of, this is a simple process, this is how the work happens. Now the thing is, in this simple process, there are a lot of softwares, tools, and way of working by which different people involved differently. Okay, like what will be your seniors do, what will be your juniors do, what will be your managers do, what will be the product owner does, what will be the tester doing, what will be the DevOps team doing. Now all of that has to work in this same system of process. Okay, because one feature needs a developer, needs a tester, needs a DBA, needs a DevOps, and then testing happens on the dev environment, QA environment, UAT environment, and production environment. And all of this drama has to be done within a 2 weeks of time frame. It is a lot of work if you really understand. So it has to happen in an organized approach. Okay, otherwise things will get messy. Complex projects will not be delivered on time. Bad quality work will happen. And now IT is pretty much evolved. Okay, so step by step samajhte. So yesterday we already, now be with me and mentally visualize the flow. Okay, step by step what happens. Okay, now let's see. You have joined a product. You have joined a company, maybe product based company or a service based company. You went in any company. This is your day one. First important thing, you need to know who are the people and what roles are they playing in the team. Who is the front end developer? What kind of technologies are being used on front end? Who is the back end developer? Who are like what is happening on the back end side? What softwares? What tools? Who is the tester? So every role, that is your first activity. Understand role that is performed by everyone and what softwares they use. The high level pe baatcheet karo, but try to really know those things. Now the thing is, once you understand the key roles, for example, who is the product owner? Okay, who is the Scrum Master? Okay, sometimes there might not be a special designation as Scrum Master. Sometimes one developer will be chosen to act like a Scrum Master. Okay, or sometimes one tester might be selected to act as a Scrum Master. Okay, sometimes in the teams there is a designation called as technical manager. Okay, he's going to play the role of a Scrum Master. So yes, the work is there, but different people might play it. So just try to see who drives the Scrum. It is called as driving the Scrum. Okay, one person who actually asks everybody question, okay, how is your progress going? What did you do yesterday? What's the plan for today? Are you stuck somewhere? There will be one person for that. So just try to understand how that happens in your team. Yeah, and then rest of the team members. Okay, now the thing is key, step by step understanding. Yesterday we said product owner will give requirements. Okay, these requirements will be written in Jira as user stories. Everything is just terminology. Okay, people call it by a multiple number of ways. Don't get confused. Some people might say user stories. Okay, sometimes people might say, okay, what is your task? In Jira, they have created some different symbols for user story, tasks, and all that. I'll get into that. But the thing is, people might call it by a number of ways. People also call it as tickets. Okay, requirements might be named as user stories, tasks, tickets, or people might simply call it what stories are you working on this time? It all means the same. Nothing but what is the requirement? Yeah, product owner writes requirement in Jira tool as user story, task, ticket, or simply calling it as stories. Yeah. Now let me even show it to you practically how it is going to happen. So guys, one thing in IT, you might find lot of softwares or tools which will be new to you, and but your focus should be okay. How do I understand? Okay, there will be a lot of new things coming to you, but you should really spend time in understanding. Okay. Now, देखो how he does it. He comes to, let's say, some kind of a board. In that, there is going to be a backlog section. Okay, yesterday we discussed about this product backlog. This backlog, where will be it be? It will be in some tool, and that is your Jira tool, for example. And then here is where the backlog is. You will find a view something like this. This is called as Jira. It is given by Atlassian company. It is an end-to-end project management tool. It can help to track what is the requirement, who is working on the requirement. Is the requirement completed with development? Is it given to the testing, or is it gone to the production? All of those things can be very nicely tracked, and that is where people call it Jira as a project management tool or a tracking tool. Now the point is, in this requirements he is going to provide. Now the thing is how he does it. We say in the diagram, if you see, okay, here he mentioned product backlog. So in this backlog section, now let's say I'm just simply clicking create issue. Okay, when I click on create issue, just observe here, there is a drop down which is giving me, do you want to create a task or a bug or a simple, if you do a mouse over there, a small there is written called a story. Nothing but product owner generally will say, I will write requirements in the form of user stories. Okay, now different teams might have different way of when to use task, when to use bug. Sometimes technical team also has requirement, they might write it in the form of task, and the task looks something like this. Now you need to understand in your team, wherever you are working, how these three things will be. I will give you one statement which you can give to the interviewer. Okay, in your project, product owner used to give the requirements in the form of story or user story, which was like green in color. Test requirement 1. Okay, like this, he will just write something. Next, if the technical person is writing a requirement, now it is about agreement, you can tell this during interview. Okay, in our team, if the technical person was having a requirement, he says generally task. What could be the requirement? He says, oh, log refining. It is not coming as a business requirement, but the technical person knows that in the logs, there is something wrong. He has to correct it. And then he puts a requirement, something like this. Or maybe refactoring. Something which is not business logic, but technical developers know that they have to implement it. Such kind of work can be considered as task, so it acts as a differentiation. Okay, whatever is green in color is given by the product owner. Okay, and whatever is task, blue in color, that is given by the tech team. Now, there is no standard for that. Different companies will have a different way of doing it. Now, you just have to say, okay, this is how you guys work. And similarly, when bug comes, so people might say, oh, okay, this is a bug, and then some title will be. Okay. Now, fine, this is how the requirements are. Now, the point is, dekho guys, we have 1 hour to complete this session. So we cannot get into very details about all the things. I will just give you pointers. You should now go to internet and search how to write like or best practices of how user stories are written. Simply ask this question to ChatGPT, you will get the answer. Okay, do that part. You will get the answer. Best practices of how user stories are written. There is a syntax, there is a template, like this, देखो, point is product owner is going to write user stories, and you are not product owner. Your responsibility is to understand the user stories, and user stories are nothing but requirements. Requirements will be available here, and if you see here, देखो, just now we create a test requirement. It's a URL. I click on this. Okay, it comes here on the side. I'm just opening you a view. This is how it looks like. Some base view where you can put a lot of description. You can talk a lot about the functionality here. Okay, everything. You can describe all these things in very details, whatever. You can attach images, you can attach some other links, you can make it as descriptive as possible. Okay, you can assign this to somebody, like once the development, it is assigned to a developer, you can just assign it. Okay, so this work is going to happen by this guy. So these kind of things. So nothing but at requirement level, a lot of these things are possible. Okay, and yeah, this is what is the first step. So product owner is going to write requirements and user stories, and that is how the initial backlog is created. Okay, now the second thing here, it is mentioned prioritize the list of tasks. Okay, now how does that happen? If you go back here in Jira board, these are all drag and drop options. Let's say he feels, oh, this MP1-7, many times this is called as ticket ID or task ID or user story ID. So people in your company will talk based upon these IDs, because they will not remember the full names which is written. They might say, okay, what task you are working on? He says MP19. Okay, so that means, oh, he's working on this task. You can search it based upon this task. Now you can actually click and they go. It's a draggable option. Nothing but by this way you can assign priority. If you feel this is more important, product owner is going to move this up, keep it there. Then he feels, oh, now next this is important. He goes here and then moves this also up and puts it in a second priority. By this way, he will arrange things in a priority. So from the technical team, you need to know that if you go to the backlog, whatever is available in the backlog, the items from the top are important for business, and you guys have to estimate that, develop that one. Okay? So far, this is where we are. Now goes to the next step. Okay? Now, as part of the next thing, once the requirements are written, okay, PO writes requirements. Once the requirements are written, then the requirements are supposed to be discussed with the technical team. That happens in a meeting called as refinement meeting or grooming meeting. Okay, or requirement gathering meeting. People might use different terminologies, but it all means the same. Requirement gathering or refinement meeting. Maybe यहाँ पे N, right? Or grooming meeting. All terminologies where the requirements will be discussed between the product owner and the technical team. This is the second step. Now, you need to understand in your team, when does this happen? Now, different companies will have a different way of doing these requirements. Now, you need to understand wherever your meeting is happening. Okay? Now, fine. Now, generally, where are meetings arranged? Generally, many people use Outlook as the office related software for emails and stuff. So in the Outlook itself, there will be your calendar, and in the calendar, your time slots will be booked where meeting timings are arranged. So by this way, you can see. And since many people are still working in a remote or a hybrid environment, so these calendars are being nicely used still. If you work just from office, maybe they might just come and block your calendars, but just physically the meeting happens. Okay? Or however, in a remote environment, a Teams, Microsoft Teams is very commonly used. So there itself, you can join in for a meeting and do the remote thing. Okay? So just, but there are possible ways. It's a video call or physical, whatever it is. But yes, in a meeting, refinement discussions will happen. Okay? So refinement ka aim is, guys, whatever is the requirement, you should completely understand. Now, few suggestions for you, especially the juniors in the beginning time. Okay, when I was in the beginning time, or when I have seen many beginners, freshers and all, initially they don't really understand what they are asking and why this requirement is there and stuff like that. It is okay. It means you are beginning right now. ठीक है, तो खुद को don't put under pressure or I'm not understanding, it's fine. Okay, slowly you will adapt to the way IT thinks, IT talks, and gradually your brain will get in that direction. But the thing is, you should put your 100% efforts to understand what conversations are happening. And if you have any question, maybe even write it down and maybe start discussing those questions with your team members also. Because I have seen, guys, there are some beginners, because they don't understand, they stop even trying to understand. They stop listening. They stop even trying to understand, and they feel, oh, later on my seniors will anyways tell me, so let me not put interest here. That is a very wrong attitude. Okay? You should try to understand, and that is a very important thing. Try to understand, try to see what product owner is saying, what are your seniors saying, and all the discussion which goes to and fro. If you get some more doubts in between, just pitch it. Be confident. Thoda baat kar lo. Hey, but what about this? Because you come with a very fresh mind, like it's a beginner mind. Like बच्चों को क्या होता है, right? Like freshers, beginners are like children of the IT industry. If you see anybody having like zero like bacche jo hote in your families, there might be some kids, right? 4 years experience, but 4 years age, 5 years age. So generally children have a very unique way of looking at things, because they don't know what is right or wrong, but they are creative, they are innovative. Like that, freshers are there, they don't know what's right, what's wrong, but the mind can think. So if you are getting any questions, talk it during your maybe interview, maybe during your work. It will be adding a lot of value. Okay, fine. Now the point is, to and fro refinement meeting is going to happen. Okay, with the guys, sprint has not started. This is all happening before the sprint. Yesterday we said 2 weeks work cycle. That is where it is called as sprint. This all is happening before the sprint. Now, if you go to this diagram, okay, here the sprint starts. Now we are still before that phase. Okay. Then once lot of tickets are there, it is all groomed. A day comes when sprint planning meeting happens. That is where comes the third step. Sprint planning meeting. Simple. Sprint planning meeting is like, already the definition is here as well. Team selects starting at top as much as it can commit to deliver by the end of the sprint. Okay. Nothing but, let's go here. The team selects starting at the top as much as they can commit to deliver by the end of the sprint. Okay. Nothing but यहाँ पे एक ये होता है. Let me just do this. This was previously open. You can just completely ignore this. Now everything is in a backlog here. So when the sprint planning meeting is happening, the team needs to decide how many items they can finish. Somebody, one person in the team, maybe a Scrum Master or any tech person, what he does is, he comes to this backlog, he says, okay, create sprint. Clicks on this button, create sprint. Okay, a blank board came here. Then the team starts discussing. If you see the diagram, the team discusses. And then you all start discussing, oh, for this feature, how much time it will take, what do we have to do, front end may what work, back end may what work, database may what work. You get into more details about all of these things. Now, once you're getting into all these details, you might know, oh, this ticket might take 4 days to complete. This might take 2 days. This might take 1 day. This might take like 10 days to finish. Okay. Now, how many people we have? Oh, on this 2 weeks, you're doing 2 weeks planning. In this 2 weeks, this person is going for a vacation for 1 week. So you have to consider that, oh, chutti pe ja raha hai, so we have to take less work. Now, considering all of these things, and then considering uncertainty, what if we are stuck? Some buffer needs to be added. What if you are stuck somewhere? Something is complicated. You need to focus this. When you estimate, guys, this is an important thing. Whenever you estimate, and people in your company will ask you to estimate, estimate is, tell us how much time it will take to finish this work. That is called as estimation. You always need to consider 3 factors when you estimate. Okay. First factor is how much time you think it will take to complete. Many people just tell this, by 3 days it will take, and then they just give the estimate as 3 days, but that is not the right way of estimating things. Along with time, there are two more factors you consider. One is how much complex it is. Complexity. Third factor is risk. Now, mature people, evolved people think from this perspective also. Seniors are expected to think from this perspective. Generally, junior only thinks ke, "Arey, 2 दिन लगेगा तो 2 दिन is the estimate." No, it's not that. You have to consider that ticket. Right now, you are saying it will take 2 days, but what is the complexity involved in that? Because if it is complex, unknowingly more problems will come when you are working on that. So you have to even consider complexity. You have to even consider risk. How risky it is. Means if this ticket is not finished on time, then what other things will not work properly? You need to even consider these three factors. And then accordingly say, let's say initially you thought it might take 2 days. But if it is complex, if it is having some risk involved, maybe you say, oh, it is going to take 3 days or 3.5 days as well, depending upon how complex it is. People might be like, why are you saying that? It is actually a 2-day ticket, but you need to consider, and these things acts like a buffer. So buffer is not whatever you get in your mind, you start speaking. Buffer is like, okay, what are your logics? Yes, it is complex ticket, because when you're doing it, if you get stuck somewhere, complexity is more, you don't know how to solve it easily. So you are considering that factor also, and you're considering there is a risk involved while you're working on this ticket. If it is not finished on time, some other tickets might get impacted. Now, when you factor these additional things, the actual estimate might grow. And this is what is called as adding buffer in your estimation. And you need to consider this when you're doing the sprint planning. And guys, many times what will happen is in your team, even if you're junior, your seniors will simply ask you, okay, this is the requirement. Tell us how much time you think will take. And if you're blank there, if you're not able to speak anything, it gets into problem. It's like, अरे समझ नहीं रहा है कि भाई क्या हुआ कुछ तो बोल. And if you just make a blank guess there, okay, hey, I feel it might take me 1 day, and you don't know how you arrived at that 1 day. Now then what will happen is while you're actually doing, now this is important, when you are actually doing it, if it is not completed in 1 day, then juniors then start stretching very late at office, maybe coming early, maybe working over weekends. And then what happens is, guys, understand this thing, very important for IT. In the end, these people itself draw conclusion, IT life is such a pressuring life. We work late nights, we work over weekends. It's not IT's life, it's not project life, it is your problem. You are not able to estimate your work properly. You are giving wrong commitments to other people, and then you have to meet it because you have given that commitment. IT will expect you to deliver on your commitment, and it will not allow you to take a very relaxed time. So IT will help you be accountable. So please understand, the problem is not in the team or people. The problem is you. You are not able to have clarity what the work is, how much time it will take, and then give that estimation and accomplish that estimation. And your estimation should be considering only the working time. Please understand, the decision of whether to stretch or not to stretch, majority of the cases, it's because of lack of planning, which is done by you, not by your seniors also. And Agile is saying, why? Why the team decides? Because you are also part of the team. You can contribute there. Managers are not going to force you to finish this like this. You can say, hey, but I don't think I can do it in 1 day. It is a definite 2 days work. Try to talk properly. And this is what should happen as part of sprint planning.